The first time Daniel Morgan kissed Lena Hart, it wasn't planned. They were the last two in the office that night, the hum of fluorescent lights above them and the glow of their computer screens painting shadows on their tired faces. Lena had leaned over to show him something on a presentation slide, and when her hand brushed his, he didn't pull away. Neither of them spoke, but when their eyes met, something passed between them. Not just attraction, but permission. The kiss was soft, quick, testing, and when it was over, Daniel pulled back as if reality had snapped too tight around him. "I'm sorry," he muttered. Lena just smiled. "I'm not." Daniel was 38, married for 6 years, with a baby on the way. His wife Lauren was in her second trimester, glowing, exhausted, and endlessly kind. The kind of woman people said was too good for him. And maybe she was. Lena was 29, sharp, confident, unapologetically beautiful in a way that made people nervous. She'd been with the company less than a year, but she already knew how to own a room. Daniel had trained her when she started. That's how it began. Small talk, late nights, subtle glances. Now the door had been opened. For 3 months they slipped between shadows, quick meetings at hotels, long lunches that turned into tangled sheets and whispered promises. Daniel told himself it was just temporary, a moment of weakness that got out of hand, but for Lena, it was something else. She had fallen. Hard. She loved how Daniel touched her, how he laughed with her, how he looked at her like she was the only thing keeping him sane. She believed she saw the real version of him, the one hidden beneath the buttoned-up husband and soon-to-be father. She wanted more. But Daniel started pulling back. It began with fewer texts, shorter calls, awkward silences after their time together. Then one morning, as they stood near the coffee machine in the break room, Daniel turned to her with a serious look in his eyes. "I can't do this anymore," he said. "Lauren's due soon. I need to focus on my family. This has to stop." Lena blinked, stunned. "That's it?" she asked quietly. "I'm sorry," he said, "but it's over." And he walked away. Just like that, as if none of it had mattered. Lena stood frozen, the coffee cup trembling in her hand, her face calm, but inside, something was cracking, something sharp. Daniel thought it was over, but Lena wasn't done, not even close. Lena sat in her apartment that night with the lights off, the only illumination coming from the TV screen flashing muted images of a show she wasn't watching. Her glass of wine sat untouched on the coffee table. Her phone, face up, displayed Daniel's name in her recent calls. No messages, no missed calls. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Again. She thought about the first time he touched her, the way he'd breathed against her collarbone, the way he whispered her name like it was something sacred. She thought about how he used to smile when she walked into a room, how he once told her she was the only person who made him feel free. That meant something, didn't it? She pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around them as her mind looped through the timeline. Each kiss, each lie, each quiet goodbye. She hadn't imagined it. He'd wanted her. He needed her. Lena wasn't a fool. She was the one who stayed late, who listened, who made him feel seen. Not his wife, not the woman who waddled into company events with a swollen belly and a glowing ring and called him honey like it meant something. Lena had the real Daniel. She still had him. The next day she waited for her moment. It came late afternoon. Daniel stepped out of the conference room, tired, flipping through paperwork. Lena intercepted him near the hallway, casual smile on her lips, coffee in hand. "Look who I ran into," she said lightly. "Didn't think you'd be brave enough to be near the break room without me." He looked up. His eyes were guarded. She didn't like that. "I was just heading back to my desk," he said. She stepped closer. "Daniel, come on. We don't have to be weird. You miss me. I know you do." "Lena," she smiled. "Just say it. Say you think about me at night. Say you remember how it felt." "I said it's over." His voice was low, clipped. Something in it froze her. "I'm married," he added sharply, "and my wife is pregnant. Please respect that." Lena didn't flinch, not visibly, but inside something slid off the shelf, something delicate. He didn't wait for a reply. He brushed past her, footsteps brisk and final. Lena stood still in the hallway, smile fading slowly, inch by inch. "Respect that? Respect that?" She stared at the empty corridor ahead of her. What they had, what they were, he wanted to bury it, pretend it never existed, move on and play the loving husband, the doting father, erase her. She walked calmly to the women's restroom, locked herself in the last stall, and sat down on the toilet lid with her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her reflection stared back at her from the metal latch, blank, quiet. He thinks he can just walk away. He thinks I'm something to forget. Lena smiled faintly, then whispered to herself, "He has no idea what I'm willing to do." It started small, a missing document from the shared server, a marketing file Daniel had spent 3 days perfecting, gone without a trace. He'd checked his folders 5 times before finally asking it to retrieve the backup. "Could have sworn I saved it," he muttered aloud in the break room, frustration in his voice. Lena stood behind him, stirring her tea. "That's weird," she said without looking up. "Maybe you're just tired. Baby on the way, brain gets foggy, right?" She smiled into her cup before walking off. Next, it was his calendar. Meetings he never scheduled suddenly appeared, double booking him with executives he hadn't spoken to in months. A lunch with the director of operations that had never been confirmed showed up as mandatory. The embarrassment of having to apologize publicly chipped away at his composure. Then the emails started. Subtle at first, minor edits undone, passive-aggressive responses he never wrote somehow sent under his name. One reply to a senior manager read, "We'll proceed with your idea, though I personally find it misguided." He didn't remember typing it. He wouldn't have typed it. But it was there. His name at the bottom, his job title below it. At home, Lauren noticed the tension in his jaw, the quiet muttering as he paced their living room. "You're working too hard," she said, resting a hand on her growing belly. "It's not worth the stress." Daniel nodded but didn't respond, because he couldn't tell her what was really happening, not without opening the door to everything. Lena watched from across the office, her gaze like a scalpel. Sharp, precise, unrelenting. She didn't confront him again, didn't make a scene. She simply tightened the pressure, inch by inch. He started staying late again, trying to regain control. She made sure he never quite could. And still, she smiled at him like they were just CoWorkers, like nothing had happened, like she wasn't peeling his life apart, thread by thread. She wasn't trying to ruin him, not yet. Just remind him that she was still there, still his. And if he wouldn't let her back in, she'd make damn sure he remembered what it cost to shut her out. Daniel's eyes burned as he scrolled through his inbox for the 4th time that morning. Another strange email had been sent under his name, this one to a junior analyst, harshly criticizing a report that Daniel barely remembered reading. It was subtle, just sharp enough to damage his reputation without sounding entirely out of character. He felt it happening. Something, someone, was tightening a noose around his credibility. And only one name made his stomach twist: Lena. He'd tried to be polite, tried to draw a line with kindness, but she wasn't getting the message, or worse, she was ignoring it entirely. That afternoon, he found her in the supply closet. She was sorting binders with calm, surgical precision. The same woman who once moaned his name like it meant something now hummed softly to herself, filing away a set of folders like she had all the time in the world. He waited until the door closed behind him. She didn't flinch. "Hey," he said. "Hey, Daniel," she replied casually, still facing the shelf. "I need to talk to you." She turned, arms crossed gently over her chest. "About?" He hesitated, then stepped closer, keeping his voice low. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but I know you've been messing with things. My files, my emails, meetings." Her brow arched. "You're accusing me of something?" "I'm asking you to stop," he said, jaw tight. "Whatever this is, it's not okay. I've moved on. You need to do the same." Lena tilted her head. "Moved on? Like we didn't spend 3 months together? Like you didn't tell me things no one else knew? Touch me like you meant it? Call me when you were stressed? Make me feel like I mattered? Daniel's silence answered her. Lena's eyes sharpened. You're not scared I'm doing something. You're scared I know something. He stepped back slightly. I'm not threatening you. I just want peace. She smiled, calm, composed, and chilling. Then you shouldn't have made me a secret, Daniel. You shouldn't have treated me like something you could erase. Her voice softened, almost sweet. You don't get to decide when it ends. Not after everything. Daniel exhaled. If you do anything else, anything, I'll go to HR. I'll go to legal. I'll do what I have to do. Lena blinked slowly, as if studying him. Then I guess you should have thought of that before you came to my hotel room the first time. He left without another word. She didn't move, didn't follow, just watched the door close and whispered under her breath, You still think this is about revenge? It's not. It's about making sure you never forget me. Daniel spent the weekend cleaning house, digitally. He changed every password, set up two-factor authentication on all work accounts, even bought a personal VPN and installed keystroke tracking software on his own computer just to monitor for unauthorized access. He combed through old emails, flagged anything unusual, and even asked the IT department to restrict editing access to his documents. It helped him sleep. A little. But it didn't stop what was coming next. Monday morning started with a call from his wife. He was just settling into his desk when Lauren's voice, tense and shaking, came through the phone. Daniel, did you sign up for a dating site? He froze. What? She exhaled hard. I just got an email. Someone created a profile using your name and our wedding photo. It says you're separated and looking for connection. Is this a joke? Daniel's pulse thundered in his ears. No, Lauren, I swear to you, I didn't. Someone's messing with me. A pause. Then, messing with you or exposing you? Lauren, please, listen to me. This isn't what it looks like. Someone is trying to ruin me. Silence. Then she hung up. Daniel stared at his screen, breath shallow, vision tunneling. That afternoon, he received a package at his desk. No name, no return address. Inside, a flash drive. Just one file. He clicked it in a locked office, shades drawn. The video was from 2 months ago. A grainy, zoomed-in recording of him walking into the hotel downtown. Lena beside him, her hand brushing his. A moment later, his hand on the small of her back. The timestamp was clear. The camera angle, taken from a car window across the street. He ripped the drive out of the port, heart pounding. She had planned this, had been building an arsenal of proof, not just for leverage, for destruction. Later that night, he saw her car outside the grocery store near his house. She didn't come inside, didn't approach, just sat there in the lot across the street, engine off, headlights out, watching. Daniel told himself not to overreact. Maybe it wasn't her, maybe he was just seeing shadows, but when he returned home, there was a folded note in his mailbox. It wasn't signed, but he didn't need it to be. We could have had everything, but you made me your mistake. Daniel sat across from the head of Human Resources, his tie loosened and palms damp against his thighs. The fluorescent lighting made everything feel colder, harsher, like even the walls were listening. He had waited too long to come here. I need to file a formal concern, he said finally. It's about a coworker, Lena Hart. Janice, the HR director, raised a brow. What kind of concern? She's been interfering with my work, my emails, my files. There's a history between us, a personal one, but it ended. And now things are happening that I can't ignore. Janice leaned back, expression unreadable. You're saying you had a relationship with Ms. Hart? Daniel nodded, jaw clenched. It was a mistake, but it's over. I ended it. And since then, she's been making my life difficult. He told her everything. Well, most of it. The missing files, the fake dating profile, the photo sent to his wife, the anonymous flash drive, the stalking. Janice listened, jotting notes. When he finished, she exhaled through her nose. This is serious, she said. I know. Do you have any proof that Lena sent you the flash drive? Or that she created the dating profile? Daniel hesitated. Not directly, but I know it's her. Janice nodded slowly. I'll open an internal review, she said. But, Daniel, I want to be transparent with you. Ms. Hart came to us 2 weeks ago. Daniel blinked. What? She said you were harassing her after she ended things. She said you were showing up unannounced, making comments retaliating against her work. Daniel's stomach dropped. That's not true. She provided emails, a calendar invite to a hotel you supposedly scheduled, some saved messages. His breath caught. She was flipping the story, covering her tracks. Daniel, Janice said gently, in situations like this, perception matters. I need you to avoid any contact with her while we investigate, and I strongly suggest you take some personal time while this gets sorted. Wait, I'm the one being pushed out? No one's being punished, Janice replied evenly, but if it's a he said, she said, and she filed first. She didn't have to finish the sentence. Daniel stood, numb. His career, his credibility, his marriage, everything was slipping through his fingers. He left the building with a storm cloud in his chest and rage brewing under his skin. Lena saw him in the parking lot. She leaned against her car, arms folded, sipping coffee like it was a morning stroll. No shame, no fear. Their eyes met. She smiled, a slow, deliberate smile. Daniel got into his car and slammed the door. She wasn't just punishing him, she was erasing him, piece by piece. Daniel sat in his car long after the engine shut off, staring at the dashboard like it might give him an answer. Something clean, something that would undo all of this. But there were no answers, just silence. He hadn't told Lauren, couldn't, not with the baby due in less than a month. She'd been glowing in the nursery, humming while folding tiny onesies, talking about names and painting a future he wasn't sure he'd be in anymore. He was a ghost in his own life. At work, people looked at him differently. Whispers stopped when he entered rooms. Emails dried up. Lena walked through the halls as if nothing was wrong, smiling, laughing, thriving. She had flipped the script flawlessly. Daniel began waking up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, reaching for his phone, reading and rereading every old message between them, trying to find the mistake. The moment it all shifted, the thing that gave her permission. He started drinking again, quietly, alone, and Lena knew. He felt it, in the way she began showing up in places that felt personal. The pharmacy he used, a cafe Lauren loved, the gym where he ran after work. She was never too close, never enough to accuse, just near enough for him to see her, watching, measuring. He found another note tucked under his windshield one night. You're falling apart. Maybe I should talk to Lauren, tell her everything before you twist it. Or maybe I'll just stop by the hospital when the baby comes. You always said you wanted me to see you become a father. Daniel crushed the note in his fist and screamed into the empty car. This was no longer about payback. Lena wanted to ruin him. One night, after too many drinks, he drove to her apartment building. He sat across the street in the dark, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He wasn't sure why he was there. To beg? To scream? To scare her? But then her light came on, and she walked into view, robe tied around her waist, phone at her ear, laughing. With someone else. Daniel's stomach twisted. She wasn't broken. She wasn't grieving. She was fine. He was the only one drowning, the only one who still cared. The next day, he didn't show up to work. Lena sent him a text that simply read, You know what I miss? The way you used to look at me like I was the answer to every question you'd never ask. Too bad you thought I'd just fade away. Daniel stared at the message for 10 minutes, then deleted it. But the damage was done. He was unraveling, and Lena was just getting started. Lena stood in front of her mirror that morning, slowly applying her lipstick, deep crimson, the same shade Daniel used to call dangerous. She smiled at the memory, but there was no warmth in it now. On the dresser beside her were items laid out with deliberate care. A flash drive, a manila envelope filled with printouts of their messages, photos, call logs, a copy of the formal complaint she'd filed with HR, and at the bottom, a handwritten letter addressed to Lauren Morgan. She picked it up and read it again. Dear Lauren, I thought you deserved the truth. Your husband made promises to me. Some I wanted to believe, others I needed to. I didn't ruin your marriage. He did. I was just the shadow he ran to when you weren't looking. I loved him, and I think in some dark, selfish way, he loved me too. But people like Daniel don't pay with apologies. They pay with silence. Lena folded the letter and slipped it into a lavender envelope. Then she packed the rest into a black leather bag. Her movements were calm, precise. She had waited long enough. Across town, Daniel was pacing the length of the kitchen, bloodshot eyes locked on his phone screen. He hadn't gone to work in 2 days. He'd ignored calls from HR, dodged questions from Lauren, and barely touched the food she left for him. He couldn't tell her what was coming. She was too close to giving birth, too hopeful, too trusting. But something in his bones told him it wasn't over. He saw it in Lena's eyes that day in the parking lot. The way she didn't flinch, the way she enjoyed it. She wasn't spiraling, she was planning. And now the energy around her had shifted, like she had made a decision. That night, Daniel installed a second camera above his front porch. He checked the locks twice, triple-checked the nursery windows. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. Because somewhere out there, Lena was tying off the last knot in a story he thought he could leave behind. And Daniel finally realized she never wanted closure. She wanted a finale. It was nearly midnight when the knock came. 3 soft taps, calm, measured. Daniel had been dozing on the living room couch, fully clothed, phone still in hand. He jolted upright, adrenaline instantly coursing through his veins. Lauren was asleep upstairs, her body heavy with pregnancy, her breathing slow and peaceful. She had no idea what was unraveling beneath her roof. He moved to the front window and peeked through the blinds. Lena, standing beneath the porch light in a black coat, her red lipstick glowing like a signature. She wasn't hiding. She wanted to be seen. Daniel didn't open the door. Instead, he cracked it just enough to speak. You need to leave, he said, voice low. Lena's smile never faltered. I came to give you something. I don't want it. You will. She reached into her coat pocket and held up a flash drive between 2 fingers. This is every piece of us, every message, every voicemail, every time you begged me not to let go. He stared at it like it might explode. You walk away now, she continued, and I send this to Lauren, your boss, HR, everyone. Daniel clenched his jaw. Why? Why are you doing this? Lena stepped closer. Because I loved you, and you turned me into a secret. You were never a secret, he snapped. No, she said calmly. I was a story you were writing behind your wife's back, and now I'm the ending. She reached into her other pocket and pulled out the lavender envelope. For Lauren, she said. From me, woman to woman. Daniel opened the door just enough to grab it. You'll regret this, he said quietly. No, she replied. You will. She turned and walked away, not fast, not slow, just confidently, like she'd done what she came to do. Daniel shut the door and locked every bolt. Then he stood in the foyer, breathing hard, staring at the envelope in his hand. He didn't open it, not yet. He took the flash drive upstairs, booted up his laptop, and watched just enough to know she wasn't bluffing. She had kept everything. And now she was ready to let it all burn. He returned downstairs and finally opened the envelope. As he read Lena's letter to Lauren, he realized 2 things. 1, she had written it with a calm, elegant rage. No curses, no dramatics, just truth as she saw it. 2, she didn't care who got hurt anymore. He ran his hands over his face. Lena wasn't threatening him. She was promising him a reckoning. And if he didn't act fast, it wouldn't be his job or his marriage she destroyed next. It would be him. Daniel knew he had only one option left. The next morning, before Lauren woke up, he packed a change of clothes and left the house under the excuse of a work emergency. He hated lying again, especially now, but if Lena made good on her threats, the fallout would scorch everything. His marriage, his job, his future as a father, all of it could go up in flames. He didn't go to the office. Instead, he went to a law firm downtown and met with an attorney who specialized in harassment and defamation. He laid it out plainly. Yes, he'd had an affair. Yes, it was a mistake. But now the woman he ended it with was blackmailing him, harassing him, manipulating events to make him look like the aggressor. The lawyer asked questions. Do you have proof of her threats? Do you have a record of her showing up at your home? Did you ever send her a message telling her to stop? Daniel showed her the flash drive and the letter. He played the voicemail Lena left 2 nights ago, the one where she whispered, "You'll wish you hadn't made me disposable." The lawyer leaned back in her chair. She's calculated, but she's slipping. Daniel looked up. What do I do? You need a paper trail, she said. Document everything. File a protective order if she comes near your family again, and if she tries to go public, you go first. Control the narrative. Daniel nodded slowly, but he knew one thing for sure. This wouldn't end in court. Lena didn't want a settlement. She didn't want revenge in a technical sense. She wanted him, in pieces, and the only way to stop her was to meet her alone. That night, he texted her, "Daniel, we need to talk, in person, no more games." Lena, "I thought you were done with me." Daniel, "One last conversation. You get to say everything you want, but it ends after that." Lena, "Where?" Daniel, "The park near the office, 9 p.m., by the benches." Lena, "I'll be there. Don't be late." He turned off his phone, sat in the dark, and waited. This wasn't about dignity anymore. This was survival. Because Lena wasn't done writing their story, but Daniel was ready to turn the final page. The park was nearly empty at 9 p.m., just as Daniel hoped. Streetlights cast long, lonely shadows across the pavement. The trees rustled in the evening breeze, and the hum of a nearby highway was the only consistent sound. He sat on a bench near the path, heart pounding, fingers twitching against his thighs. A part of him still wondered if she'd show. But she always did. Lena appeared from the far side of the park, walking slowly, hands tucked into the pockets of a dark coat. No makeup tonight, no dramatic entrance. Just her, eyes steady, heels silent against the concrete. "You came," she said softly. Daniel stood. "You made sure I didn't have a choice." Lena stopped a few feet away. "I gave you everything, Daniel. You gave me silence." "I gave you the truth," he replied. "It was a mistake. You knew it was. We both did." "You didn't treat it like one," she snapped, stepping closer. "You kissed me like it meant something. You begged to see me. And now you think you can disappear behind your perfect little family and pretend it never happened?" Daniel swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "It's over, Lena. We're not going to drag anyone else into this. Not my wife. Not our coworkers. You need to let go." She laughed, a low, humorless sound. "Let go? You think I want to keep chasing you? You think I enjoy being the villain in a story you started? You chose this," he said. "You escalated. You pushed. You lied." "No," she said firmly. "I refuse to be erased." She reached into her coat. Daniel flinched, instinctively stepping back, hand ready to grab his phone or run if needed. But it wasn't a weapon. It was the flash drive. She held it out between her fingers. "You want it?" she said. "Delete it. Pretend none of it happened. But I know you'll still see me every time you close your eyes." Daniel didn't move. Lena stared at him, her voice quieter now. "I loved you, Daniel. I would have followed you." "And that's why this has to end," he said, breath ragged. "Because you didn't love me. You needed me. And when I stopped needing you, you couldn't take it." For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Loss. Not rage, not calculation, but grief. She dropped the flash drive on the ground, then looked at him one last time. "I hope every kiss she gives you tastes like guilt." And then she turned, walked into the shadows of the park, and disappeared. Daniel stood still for a long time, staring at the drive, the bench, the quiet stillness she left behind. He didn't pick it up. He didn't follow her. He just breathed, for the first time in weeks. But somewhere in the darkness, Lena was still writing a version of their story. And if Daniel ever forgot that, she'd remind him. Months passed. Daniel returned to work after a formal internal review cleared him of harassment. HR quietly restructured the department. Lena resigned shortly after her final meeting with corporate. No fireworks, no public breakdown. She simply stopped showing up. Lauren never received the letter. Daniel never told her about the park. The baby came early, a girl named Nora. The first time he held her, something broke inside of him. Not the same kind of break Lena left behind, but something gentler. A fracture that let the light in. He tried to become a better husband, a more present father. He put the phone down more often. Took walks with Lauren in the evenings, learned to swaddle, to bottle feed, to stand still in the chaos of new parenthood. But some ghosts don't leave. They linger in certain phrases, in shadows, in the hesitation before opening a new email. Daniel kept the flash drive, buried it deep in a locked drawer in his home office. He never opened it again, never needed to. Knowing it was there, what it contained, was punishment enough. As for Lena, no one heard from her after she left the company, but Daniel sometimes thought he saw her. A flash of red lipstick in a passing car, a dark coat slipping into the back of a cafe, a voice, low and smooth, that matched too closely to ignore. He never knew if it was real, but every now and then, when he sat alone in the quiet, he'd feel it. The weight of what he did, the woman he broke, the story that nearly ruined his life, and a single question that never left him. What if she's still watching? The end.